Alright everyone, we start off today talking about the Sam Bankman-Fried scandal. Yes, the FTX collapse, the subsequent covering of asses. You see this with Congress right now too. I fucking wonder why. Could it be that half of these people received money from FTX at one point or another and they're handling Sam with kid gloves? You'll notice if you watch like any of the congressional hearings, like Elizabeth Warren and these others, like, oh, you've done such a good job explaining this to us. We really appreciate your candor. You know, it's totally not like a Bernie Madoff style fucking rip-off job or anything like that, and we're not handling you with kid gloves because you donated shit tons of money to us, just to be clear. That would be a conspiracy theory. Many such conspiracy theories. I've noticed that conspiracy theories more often than not are found true these days. Of course, retroactively. A couple of years later, like, you know, certain medical topics that shall not be named. Anyway, link in the description. The FTX Alameda scandal has led to billions being unable to be accounted for. I wonder where those billions are. See, there are two possibilities for each dollar that was squandered here. Alameda was the billing firm, actually, like the deposit firm that Sam Bankman-Fried set up. So you have FTX, that's the exchange. Then you have Alameda, which is separately administered, and money is shuffled back and forth between the two. Now, he owned a 90% stake in Alameda, but he claims, well, I've sort of stepped back from my role running things. I don't know where the money is. One possibility, and he mentions this, is that there was a double billing, so to speak, going on. That is, that money was transferred from FTX to Alameda, but the money was still listed as being in FTX as well. You doubled your money out of thin air. You're doing the dirty bookkeeping thing. And so the money is appearing in two places at once. I wonder why FTX and Alameda are both bankrupt right now. By the way, if you don't have any debt, if you have $0 in your bank account, you're now wealthier than someone who initially was evaluated as being worth like $25 billion. Then was handing out penthouses on the beach like fucking candy to his employees and shit like that. Yeah. You want this McMansion up in the hills? $400K? That's nothing. I can literally make it appear out of thin air because I'm a massive fraudster. Yeah, you can have that. It's your Christmas bonus. Don't think twice. You want a Ferrari? Okay, I'll throw that in too. You've been a good employee by looking the other way when I'm clearly breaking the law. When I look at this, though, it's gotten worse. When you have this kind of unaccountable creation out of thin air of funny money, you have the possibility that much of it was used for political purposes. Now, we already know that Sam Bankman-Fried donated the second largest sum to the Democratic Party after George Soros in the last couple of election cycles. That's point number one. He also, well, not him personally, but FTX at large and some of its higher-ups, which again would have been aware that this was going on and that their net worth didn't technically exist at all because they're simply minting fake crypto. They're simply doing a pump and dump, a fucking pyramid scheme to get investors involved, hoping to cover their losses. It does look like a pyramid scheme. Well, look at how much we're worth. You should invest with us. Then you pay off the lower level of investors and they're all happy. They've all made a return. And then you say, look, we can pay off all of our investors very easily with this money. You should invest with us. It's a classic pyramid scheme. Not only that, though, they donated to Mitch McConnell's PAC, with which he targeted Madison Cawthorn. They donated to Kevin McCarthy's people, with which multiple Republicans were targeted. MAGA Republicans, you'll know. This is the uniparty system covering its ass. They worked with Sam Bankman-Fried as part of effectively a pyramid scheme / money laundering operation. It worked with the WEF. They were literally listed on their website, hey, you can use this exchange to give tips to the Ukrainians. Yeah, like Ukraine's not money laundering as well. At this point, that appears to be effectively what it is. I think Ukraine would be able to hold its own without any U.S. involvement at all. Well, you've got all this money flowing there. And then the weapons disappear. You've got some of those weapons apparently are now showing up in Africa, of all places. This despite the Biden admin literally putting boots on the ground to go check and make sure that the weapons are actually being used by the Ukrainians and not sold on the black market. Yeah, there's nothing funny about this. I wonder why the legacy media won't cover this fucking story beyond the pedestrian takes of, well, here's the write-up from the latest congressional hearings with Sam Bankman-Fried. who is effectively probably lying under oath repeatedly, but they won't do anything about it. I have a feeling that he'll skate. I have a feeling in the end they won't do anything to him. You'll see, there is a worrying fusion of the legacy media with the political class in the United States. We're seeing this with the Twitter files. We certainly goddamn have seen that with the Epstein case, with the sealing of all the names of people that Ghislaine Maxwell peddled kids to. It's interesting. She's going to be in, well, a posh, low security prison for an extended stay for trafficking kids to nobody. She's the first person in history to have done effectively nothing wrong because apparently there was no trafficking because there was no John involved. We don't know who they were, although I think we have some suspicions. She still goes to prison. It just happens to be a really cushy one. She comes in just under the sentencing that would have put her in an intermediate facility. It's very interesting how that worked as well. The Epstein case at large, who didn't kill himself, by the way. It's interesting, there was no significant investigation into the circumstances surrounding his so-called suicide. Well, really his assassination. To keep him quiet. He was like, I don't want to deal with this shit. I think I'll flip, I'll name names. So they killed him. This is the same kind of scandal. Money laundering, sleaze, political hatchet jobs and corruption. It's the same as what happened with the Twitter files. We're still getting new revelations about that. Now Katie Hobbs is fucking involved. Not over the recent midterms, though, although I bet that still happened. But over the 2020 election. Honk honk. Again, perfectly acceptable election. Everything was perfectly fair. There was no shenanigans or chicanery there, YouTube. Don't ban me, bro. This scandal has gone from bad to worse. First you find out it's basically a fraud operation. Now we find out that they were doing like the double counting thing with the money. Can't even account for it. There's probably no way to account for it. Do you think that the people at FTX and Alameda bothered to document these transfers properly? It's a money laundering operation. Of course they didn't. They have two sets of books. They have the clean books that they show the investors and the politicians and the lawyers and stuff. No, don't worry, everything's perfectly above board. Then they have the dirty books where the real deal making is made. Sam Bankman-Fried says effectively to Congress, well, I stepped back from running things. Yeah, I had a 90% stake in this company, but I never bothered to check in on the day-to-day operations. It's a cover job. He's covering his ass, and Congress at the moment is effectively allowing him to do so. Do you think that Bernie Madoff would be getting like nighttime news interviews from the legacy media to explain his side of the story? I don't fucking think so. I don't recall that happening. And Fried is like 30 years old. He's younger than me. Are you saying that not one person who did business with this individual bothered to go through the nitty-gritty details of the bank keeping? Not one person looked into the actual operations and said, maybe I don't want to invest. Something seems a little bit suspicious about this. A 30-year-old who's worth $25 billion, and he's got this other company, and they shuffle money back and forth constantly, and they can't tell me where the money actually is at any given time. He defrauded billions in investor money from numerous people. He was donating to political causes while doing this. Politicians look the other way. The media is still looking the other way. They're giving him puff pieces right now. Well, here's our expose on Sam Bankman-Fried, the charismatic former leader of FTX, and shit like that. If this dude had donated primarily to MAGA candidates, I think he would already be in a high security. He'd be in a supermax right now. He'd be up on federal charges, up the ass. He'd be looking at life in prison. You remember that the founder of the Silk Road, he's serving 2 life sentences for creating a website. That's about all. Peace out.